Here we give no-holds-barred reports at Veterans News and Special Reports Podcast. We're on the air with Professor Rick Ballou, PhD of Surviving the VA. This podcast series is episode 6. In our last episode, you saw where my lawyer sent me a letter telling me that I was injured in 1986, not in the service of my country. This made me wonder if my lawyer was working for me or the Veterans Administration. You will see the proof real quick on how they did it in this episode. In this episode 6, Rick is working on his next VBA hearing. He took a CMP exam and found out the VA Regional Office St. Petersburg has rigged my case. In this report, the veterans have no rights. Corrupt VBA Board of Appeals podcast, episode 6, is now on the air. Okay, now we got the video fixed. Let me talk to you about today's episode. We're going to be talking about how to write a rebuttal of your CMP exam. If you don't agree with it, you have to write a rebuttal and see how this works, what you need to do to go for the next case at your VBA hearing. Each veteran needs to prepare for your VA hearing. This is step 1. You'll spend many hours researching your files. I was suspicious about my lawyer. His name was given to me by a worker at my congressman's office. I did not know this lawyer, but he seemed like a credible lawyer until everything went south. As you remember, in one of the old past episodes, I told you about his partner was fired for working with Mr. Sindler at the regional office, getting copies of what I had so the VA regional office could work their case to deny my benefits. Years ago, my granddad told me never trust a lawyer, a politician, and the guy next door. Getting ready for this new hearing, I spent many hours writing up a rebuttal. This rebuttal was 15 pages long with other files I called exhibits. That had 33 pages. These exhibits were numbered 1 to 32. Using the computer program PowerPoint, Microsoft Office, working very well because I could copy the documentation into PowerPoint program with photographs that then I could move them over to Microsoft Office rebuttal or to my exhibits. I did not tell the lawyer about the rebuttal. This was worked well because the two computer screens let me work on the exhibits and look at the rebuttal at the same time. Step 2, how to prepare a rebuttal. The funny thing about rebuttals is you have to check what the CMP exam or what your file said that the DRO was lying about. As a child, I watched the TV show Perry Mason, watching his every move, his detective finding evidence to find the guilty person. To give you a better example, most veterans today play video games. They have to search for things, basically the hidden facts to complete to the next level. Work a rebuttal and your files that way. Okay, basically you need to research your case, where to look besides your file. 1. The Library of Congress. Research laws. Number 2, Google the internet. This means if you've got a condition or you were exposed to something, look it up on the internet. Number 3, the Veterans Affairs website. My problem was the research I found out on the Veterans Administration changed their history within 1,000 lies. Plus, they do it on a daily basis if they know you found out something. Number 4, if you dig deep enough using some of my PDF files, you can see the answer and I will help you find if you're stuck. Number 5, laws that govern the VA. From the Legal Information Institute, www.lawcornwall.education, but it's ED. I have most PDF files of American laws, the laws that govern the VA, and will help you if asked. Remember my motto, the truth will set you free, but also look deep, look hard at everything the VA says because they will lie and cheat. Veterans Newsflash. On your rebuttal, don't lie to the VBA judge. The VA OIG will put you in jail, fine you $250,000. But the VA DRO at the regional office can lie, get a bonus, and could even get a promotion to run other VA regional office operations across the country, even though he lies. If he's good at it. A word of note, you can be your own Perry Mason. Be smart in your research. Read your VA doctor's report. Is it same as your military records? Don't need a VA lawyer, but no other lawyer in the United States of America will take your case against the VA. Yes, my veterans listeners, no lawyer will help you against the Veterans Administration. Why? They own the government. The government doesn't do anything to them. Back. This is Rick Ballou, professor of Surviving the VA. We're talking today about a CMP exam that I did on 9/12/2019 for my service-connected disability for various items, plus my back condition to get it service-connected. This is the document right here. If you look at it, you can see it is all signed, sealed, and stamped. Now, at the bottom of the page, you'll notice where it says copy made by VARMC, St. Louis, Missouri, records in VA's possession. Now, St. Louis is where all of the Navy and Marines paper files are. The VA is never going in that unless I ask them to, or I get copies. This is where I found my CMP exam from 2019. This is a HIPAA violation. It is a whole lot of violations in this document, which you'll see in the upcoming parts that what they were doing is totally illegal. And nobody did anything. The judge did nothing. They swore on the documents that this Dr. Kim was correct and was going on. And if you remember, my lawyer said he peeked at this file. And like I said, you can't get his hands on these files unless he peeked on them at the regional office. So, without further ado, let's see what happens. You have to ask yourself, what is the laws that govern the VA? Really, it's for veterans only. Veterans Administration's new motto, 2025, VA first, veterans last. Well, the laws that govern the VA. Laws written by the VA and passed by the VA. Like this one here. Exhibit 1, Security of Records, 1974. Written records which in subject to 1460 through 1499 of this part must be maintained in a secure room. Locked files, cabinets, safe, and or other similar container which is not in use. Access to information stored in computers are limited to authorized employees who have a need for the information in performing their duties. Why would they have paper files stored in my military records that are VA records? VA obtained, VA signed by everybody, and has been authorized to be in the regional office's storage file room and digitized. For you as a veteran, you have to fill out a Privacy Act form that the VA will give you, and that takes 6 to 8 weeks to get it. Now, why would my lawyer be allowed to look at the files? Why would these files be hidden by the regional office? The simple answer is it was corrupted. They were filing a false presentation. In the next few slides, you'll see what I mean. You have to be your own detective. You have to read between the lines. You have to see the discrepancy of what they did to deny your benefits. Step 1. Learn the VA laws. Exhibit 101, laws that govern the VA. Definitions. The Veterans Administration practice of law is different than American laws we see today. All right, today America has fallen into law different than written by our founding fathers. States, counties, cities make up their own rules and laws as they follow their leaders' party agenda. What does it mean to be a veteran injured in the service of your country? These military personnel put their lives on the line for American freedom and Americans' interest in foreign lands around the world, to come home to receive no veterans' disability checks or benefits from a corrupt American veterans' laws and system. Service-connected means with respect of disability or death, whereas such disabilities was occurred or aggravated, or that the death resulted from a disability incurred or aggravated in the line of duty in the action of the military, Navy, and Air Force and Marines. Non-service-connected disability means, with the respect of disability or death, that such disability was not incurred or aggravated, or that the death did not result from the disability occurred or aggravated in the line of duty and active personnel. This means if you're in a motorcycle accident and you become paralyzed, you shouldn't get 100% disability because you were still in the military. You have to see which one works for you. To commit fraud, you must know step 2, learning the VA laws. Fraud by regular Americans consists of regulations. Fraud means the intent to misrepresent a fact or intentionally failure to disclose permanent facts for the purpose of obtaining or assisting individuals to obtain an alimony or divorce. This is civilian law. As you've seen from above, fraud, American veterans only. See, regulation, fraud means an intent to misrepresent a fact or intentionally failure to disclose pertinent facts for the purpose of obtaining or retaining or assisting an individual to obtain eligibility from the Department of Veterans Affairs with the knowledge that the misrepresentation of failure to disclose results awarded in the benefits, which means, did I do this on purpose? Basically, it means that I lied to the VA about a certain topic, or that I hold back information from the Veterans Administration during my hearing. I can go to jail or be fined $250,000 for this action. This next part, fraud or lying to the government. The law provides severe penalties, which include fines, imprisonment, or both, for the fraudulent acceptance of any payment for which you are not entitled to. You may verify information you submitted through computer machines, programs, or other agencies. So the VA wants you to tell the truth, but they can lie as much as they want. You will see a big lie coming up. Now we get to the real proof. Part 1, my corrupt CMP exam number 1. Who runs CMP exams? I went to a Dr. Kim's office, which was a private doctor, but the documentation said LHI, Logistic Health Incorporated. Who owns that? You have to pick through the files. You have to research. This corporation is owned by the man from England. He's a British lord. United Healthcare, and it also says VA Community Care Network, American Socialist Healthcare System. Back in the day, Ronald Reagan, President of the United States for 8 years, put in an outside healthcare system for veterans. Basically, it's a socialized outside healthcare system set up called Optimum Services. Also connected to United Healthcare. Also connected to the VA. As you remember, I was sent for a CMP exam, and I wound up at the LHI office, or they did the documentation. Who owns them? The regional office controls all CMP exam. Now, the secret is the Optimum Service is paid for by the Veterans Administration and taxpayers at the tune of $238 million per year. Also rigged, the VA pays $238 million back to United Healthcare to rig the regional office CMP exam. Why? To deny benefits. So, coming soon, proof. The Secret Companies of the VA. Episode 7 of Veterans Have No Rights. The Secret Companies of the VA podcast series 7 will show you how I tied all this together. But first, we need to show you how they corrupted the CMP exam number 1. How did they do it to get me to deny benefits? But they didn't know I had a rebuttal that threw it completely out of the water, proved beyond a shadow of a doubt the regional office lied. See it next few slides. This is part 1, my corrupt CMP exam Number 1. Over the years, I took 2 3/4 CMP exams. All of them were corrupt. On my copy of the CMP exam, it talks about Dennis Kim, MD. It also talks about appointment date 9/12/2019 and the time, and for 45 minutes. This well-experienced doctor worked 45 minutes with me in his office, and he got almost $1,000 in pay for that one. Very high cost. On this slide, you will see something that's not on his business card. Internal medicines. Is he licensed for internal medicines? But if you look at the one below it, it says years of experience with LHI, 2 years. Now, this means he worked on a sideline doing CMP exams for the VA. Basically, this allergy specialist would do psychological veterans, PTSD hearings. He was trained for it. He was a medical options, whatever that means, muscular skeletal examination. Does he do surgeries? I hope not, because he's not qualified. But if the VA tells him, the veteran dies. The easiest way to kill a veteran is have somebody inexperienced do the surgery and say, when he comes out of the operating room, the operation was a success, but the veteran died. Part 2, my corrupt CMP exam number 1. This one is a Section 2 medical history. Most likely was written by the staff of the regional office with my lawyer sitting in on the conference. But as you notice, I went under a discectomy in 1978. So that means they misspelled it. This is where it came from. This shows the rigging of my CMP exam by the VA regional office. I did the math. The revision was done 5 months before I took the exam. WTF moment. As I waited for my hearings and my CMP exam, these people were already writing the falsification of my spinal injury happened in 1986, which was not service-connected. Somehow or some way, they had to revise what they wrote in the first place under numerous meetings that they went over the paperwork to try to commit fraud. Notice at the bottom of the page, each page of the CMP exam said the document was stored in the records room of St. Louis facility under their possession. They wrote that and made sure that they were not liable. Part 3, my corrupt CMP exam number 1. This will show you the fraud that the VA committed. First off, Dr. Kim's business card on the right and the physician's printed name states he is also internal medicine. To repeat myself, this shows on his business card and his office he does not do internal medicine. Note green arrow says no signature was done. Also, no date. You have to sign a document to certify all the information to the best of your knowledge is correct and accurate, complete, and he didn't do that. A good lawyer could get the doctor off of falsifying documentation because he didn't sign the paper. I don't know why, but most likely he never saw the paper. He was just told to give me the exam, paid $1,000, and went on down the road. This is why I, as a veteran, said we need to get rid of the corrupt system of the Veterans Administration altogether.